War tensions escalating today, May 27, 2025, as take a look at the latest headlines with me. Trump warns Putin today that he is playing with fire after declaring the Russian president has gone absolutely crazy. Trump has unsuccessfully been pushing for an end to the Russia-Ukraine war. We're going to get into all the details, and as you can see, this coming out today, May 27th, 2025. Now, in addition to that, we're also hearing that Trump considers new sanctions on Russia as he grows more furious with President Vladimir Putin, as we're hearing that Trump is saying he has gone crazy, talking about Vladimir Putin and the war that is taking place right now between Russia and Ukraine, which we're hearing is now, as of today, May 27, 2025, intensifying, escalating. They're saying that emotions are running high and things are not slowing down. They're actually increasing as of today. And the conflict, they're saying it's looking like it's going in the direction of intensifying. Now, I'm going to be covering all the details. I've got video footage and articles. I'm going to put it on the screen, read right from it, show you the latest as of today, May 27, 2025, so that way you know exactly what is going on with the conflicts that are taking place between Russia and Ukraine. Now, I also covered for you yesterday, if you missed it, some of the updates that are coming out right now between Iran, Israel, and the United States. And we're hearing that Iran is saying that they are ready to attack Israel. That is right, another offensive against the nation of Israel. Israel is saying that they've been ready to attack Iran. They're just holding back because Donald Trump said that he is trying to get a diplomatic solution to the conflict in the Middle East. So there is a lot going on right now with global conflict and tensions around the world, but I'm going to get you caught up on the latest as to what is going on. And as always, I'm going to go ahead and have all of these, as I mentioned, cited, linked with hyperlinks down below so you can click the articles, read it for yourself. I'm also going to play for you the latest video footage coming out today so you can see it for yourself. And if you appreciate that, before we dive in, do me a quick favor, hit that like button for me. That thumbs up just takes a second, really helps out the channel a ton. If you appreciate the updates, helps me out a lot. Thank you so much. Also, to stay up to date, it's totally free. Why not? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, and also, as I mentioned, all of these articles are going to be referenced, linked down in the description below. But with that being said, let's go ahead and cover some video footage coming out today, and then we're going to dive into some articles with more detail so you can see exactly what is going on right now. Let's go ahead and dive right in.
I think Geneva may be the next stop, and then you eventually go to somewhere where you get all three major leaders of all the parties. You get the President Putin, and President Zelensky together and hammer this thing out and come to some type of signed document that ends this war.
President Trump's special envoy to Ukraine, Keith Kellogg, teasing potential next steps in peace talks with Russia. But there's a war of words escalating between Putin and Trump. The president posting this on Truth Social after a weekend attack on Ukraine, saying, "I've always had a very good relationship with Putin of Russia, but something has happened to him. He has gone absolutely crazy." General Jack Keane is here. And General, there is a think tank in the UK called the Royal United Services, and they have this headline: Ukraine prepares for a Russian summer offensive, and that Russia will seek to intensify operations to build pressure during negotiations, but the pressure cannot be sustained indefinitely. We'll love your take on what you think is happening as this escalates.
Well, there's no doubt that Russia will do another offensive this summer. They're certainly in preparation for that. But, I mean, right in front of us, I think clearly what is happening is Russia is not going to any peace ceasefire, temporary for 30 days or so, and certainly not to a permanent one in the near term. They've been unwilling to make any concessions whatsoever. And I think the fact that they continue to target civilians and kill civilians, I believe, is Putin's attempt to put more pressure on the president, because the president got involved in stopping this war largely because of the killing that's taken place, and he said it time and time again, and I think it's very sincere about that. And Putin sees that as an opportunity to put pressure on the president to get him to back away. And I think that's what's happening. And listen, 25 years we've known Putin. And for those 25 years, he's been a war criminal that has targeted civilians. He's doing it right now, as we see, on a daily basis. He began in 2000 when he took power in Chechnya, killing tens of thousands of Chechnyans in villages, destroying entire villages and neighborhoods in Grozny. He was trying to chase down radicals who believed were a threat to his regime. But he was targeting civilians primarily. And then in Aleppo, Syria in 2015 and 16, tens of thousands of people, carpet bombing not seen since World War II, using chlorine bombs, using deep penetration bombs to penetrate hospitals that were built under the ground because of the air campaign. This is the history of the war criminal, Vladimir Putin. And he's up to it again here, right in front of our eyes. And I think it's time for the president to pull the trigger here and crippling sanctions along with the Senate and the House and what the Europeans want to do, and also continue to provide military assistance to Ukraine is absolutely essential. That will get Putin's attention for sure.
And do those sanctions have to be, what is the scope and scale of those sanctions for it to have an impact that would be noticeable right away?
Well, of course, Putin has never really been that intimidated by sanctions because he always believes he can work around them. And he has done a large part of that when the war began and the United States and Europe imposed sanctions on him. But the sanctions that are planned now are much more targeted. They're on secondary sources who are certainly buying his oil, gas, and uranium, and also on the central banks. Both of those sanctions will have more adverse impact on him. And listen, his defense industrial base is really challenged. China is helping him quite a bit, certainly, as is Iran, and to a lesser degree, North Korea. But it is very challenging. He's losing hundreds of tanks within a couple of month period, and he can only produce 25 to 30 a month to catch up to that. So he has challenges, and of course the casualties are well known that he's taken. He's closing in on close to 50,000 casualties a month now. It was over close to 40,000 in 2024. So
how vulnerable is
he wants to
Zelensky?
convey the message. Yeah, Putin wants to convey the message to his people that he's resisting the United States and NATO, who are encroaching him, and he's the dominating player here. He's overwhelming Ukraine. Zelensky has conceded. He wants to go to the negotiations. He wants a ceasefire. The people of Ukraine want the same thing. He starts to run out of ammunition from the United States come the summer. And we've got to continue to provide that, or obviously Ukraine's going to be in trouble. And that's what Putin is counting on, that the United States will back away. That's the card he is playing here, Dana.
General Jack Keane, lots to think about, and we appreciate you walking us through it. We'll talk to you soon.
There you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. We're hearing that things are escalating. We're going to be seeing where it goes from here. And you heard him say that Putin, Russia, they're not slowing down. They are advancing. Now, we've also got some video footage that just came out in the past hour that I'm going to be playing for you with Trump's response to all of this as well. But let's go ahead and take a look at these articles before we dive into the video footage so you can see it for yourself. And you can see here it says, Trump warns Putin is playing with fire after declaring the Russian president has gone absolutely crazy. Trump has unsuccessfully been pushing for an end to the Russia-Ukraine war. This article you can see just coming out in the past couple of hours. Now, this article says, President Donald Trump asserted on Tuesday today that many bad things would have befallen Russia if it were not for him, warning that Russian President Vladimir Putin is playing with fire. What Vladimir Putin doesn't realize is that if it weren't for me, lots of really bad things would have already happened to Russia. And I mean really bad. He's playing with fire, Trump declared on a Truth Social post. Now, the tweet was responded to by Dmitry Medvedev, the deputy chairman of the Security Council of Russia, a former Russian president, in another social media post on Tuesday. Regarding Trump's words about Putin playing with fire and really bad things happening to Russia, I only know of one really bad thing. World War III. I hope Trump understands this, Medvedev wrote. Wow, so there you go. You can see right there, they're referencing potential World War III evolving if things do not slow down. Now, Trump, who has unsuccessfully been aiming to help broker peace between Russia and Ukraine, unloaded on both Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in a Sunday Truth Social post. I've always had a very good relationship with Vladimir Putin of Russia, but something has happened to him. He has gone absolutely crazy. He is needlessly ending the lives of a lot of people, and I'm not just talking about soldiers, Missiles and drones are being shot into cities in Ukraine for no reason whatsoever. I've always said that he wants all of Ukraine, not just a piece of it, and maybe that's proving to be right. But if he does, it will lead to the downfall of Russia, Trump declared in the first part of that post. But Trump's tough talk was not reserved only for the Russian figure. He also criticized Zelensky as well. And we're going to look at this video footage here in just a second. Everything out of his mouth causes problems. I don't like it, and it better stop, Trump declared of the Ukrainian president. Trump has so far failed to achieve his goal of seeing the bloodshed come to an end. In a tweet on Monday, Zelensky noted that Ukrainian air defense forces and rescuers were working all night, noting that Russia's army launched the largest number of drones against our cities and communities since the beginning of the full-scale war. 355 attack UAVs, mostly Shaheds, that were also 9 cruise missiles, he noted. Like any criminal, Russia can only be constrained by force, only through strength, the strength of the United States, of Europe, of all nations that value life. Can these attacks be stopped and real peace achieved, Zelensky declared in his post. So there you have it. And Zelensky calling Russian President Vladimir Putin a war criminal, just like we heard that U.S. Admiral General say as well on that Fox Live News coverage. So, man, let me know your thoughts. Are we going to be seeing this war come to an end here soon? If so, put yes. If no, put no. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Is this war going to come to an end? Yes? Or are we going to see things escalate and intensify like we're seeing today? If you think this war is not coming to an end, put a no. Drop those yeses and nos in the comments. And while you do that, don't forget, if you haven't done so yet, take a second and hit that like button. But let's cover some more video footage that has come out today as well, so you can see the latest that is going on. This also coming out from Fox News. This is a Fox News alert.
The New York Post cover calling out the, quote, war of words between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Tensions are rising after Russia launched its largest attacks of the entire 3-year war this weekend. Here's the president on Sunday.
I'm not happy with what Putin's doing. He's killing a lot of people, and I don't know what the hell happened to Putin. I've known him a long time, always gotten along with him, but he's sending rockets into cities and killing people, and I don't like it at all.
A few hours later, the president posted that Putin has gone absolutely crazy, exclamation point. The Kremlin responded with, this is a very crucial moment, which is associated with, of course, the emotional overload and with emotional reactions. Just last Monday, President Trump and Putin of Russia held a 2-hour phone call on a potential ceasefire. Here's White House Ukraine envoy, retired Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg.
He's done more in 120 days, and the previous administration did 1,200 days. I think he just needs to keep at it. It's frustrating, I know that, but the only guy that can do this is President Trump. You know, negotiations are never easy, but there's nowhere this war is going to end through violence, through killing of soldiers on either side. Right. It's going to come down to negotiation.
President Trump also signaled he's absolutely considering new sanctions against Russia. The New York Post editorial board headline, new sanctions can shock crazy Putin to his senses. In focus now, Republican Congressman Brian Mast of the great state of Florida, chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Great to see you. Always thank you for your service as well. Look, Congressman, we are at a point now where President Trump seems to be running out of patience with Putin. And that means money taken away from the Russian people. Will that work?
I think it's a big part of it. I think Putin is negotiating this, not even negotiating it, looking for his terms at the table. Yeah. And he reads this as, if he can continue to take life and if he can continue to take land and kilometers away from Ukraine, then that puts him in a stronger position to get all of the terms that he wants. And I don't think that he looks at anything other than that, doesn't see the value of life. And so I think President Trump justly characterizes him as crazy. If you have no value in human life, then you are a crazy person. Does he see the loss of resources in terms of 10% or greater of his economy just going to military spending, the extreme high inflation going on in Russia right now, the inability to provide for their people, and the sanctions going on, not just against Russia, but against those that are going to buy from Russia? Yeah, that's going to continue to cripple their economy. But at a certain point, he has to either, take value for human life, or everybody's going to recognize that he is the war criminal that we have been saying that he is. And I would just make one other point on this. Even if Putin is in a strong position because he can continue to take life and take land, he's getting himself into a position, I think, that the world never takes him or Russia back.
So that's interesting. And clearly he's all in, doesn't matter what it costs in terms of hurting his own people. He doesn't care. And we've always known that about him. That's not breaking news about Putin. But at this point in history, he thinks that he can win. Can he?
I think he can continue, just what I said, I think he can continue to take land and life. Now, there are some positive things that are going on in this situation as well. You have Ukraine and you have Russia in direct talks with one another right now. You have Ukraine and Russia exchanging prisoners right now. They've exchanged about 600 troops each side in total. By the end of this week, probably they'll be up to 1,000. So you have some positive things going on. And on the Ukrainian side, you do have them with the capabilities to actually hit inside Russia proper. Russia has had to close down commerce in different places and different airports because Ukraine is taking the fight to them. But Ukraine essentially cannot stop them right now. I'd use the words of Marco Rubio last week when he testified to me. He said, listen, Russia wants something that doesn't belong to them, and Ukraine cannot take back what's stolen from them right now. That's the difficult position that we're in.
Wow. Just real quickly, yes or no, are we going to help them with the air support that Ukraine is begging for right now?
I think we're going to continue to allow European countries to give to Ukraine what they're asking for. They have to ask permission from the United States of America if they got those weapons from us. If we sold them to them, we will continue to allow that to take place.
All right, we'll move to this. President Trump is now giving the United States Senate the go-ahead to make changes to the big, beautiful bill that passed the House last week. Watch.
Do you have a message for the Senate? A lot of Republicans have said there are going to be significant changes to the budget bill. Well, I want the Senate and the senators to change, to make the changes they want, and we'll go back to the House and we'll see if we can get them. In some cases, those changes maybe are something I'd agree with, to be honest. It happens.
There you have it, you guys. Now, they're switching over to that big, beautiful bill, and I'm going to be covering that for you as well in upcoming live streams in more detail as more comes out on that. That is that big, beautiful bill that right now is in the Senate, and they're working on it. We're going to be seeing what provisions are included and are not, but right now I want to stay focused on the conflict that is taking place between Russia and Ukraine and the updates coming out today, May 27, 2025. And we're going to see what happens with that, with Social Security, with no tax on overtime, no tax on tips. Also, we're going to be seeing what happens with those Doge dividend refund checks, which were not included in that big, beautiful bill. We're hearing there might be a standalone bill. We'll see. I will keep you up to date on all of that. But right now, let's stay connected on this, what's going on here. And I've got an update for you coming out from CNN Politics as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at this so that way you can see it for yourself. This coming out today as well, just in the past couple of hours. As I mentioned, this is all over the headlines. This is starting to circulate now with these updates of the conflict escalating around the world, as it says that Trump considers new sanctions on Russia as he grows more furious with Vladimir Putin. Now, this article says that when President Donald Trump spoke last week by telephone with Vladimir Putin, the Russian leader committed to drafting and sending what he described as memorandum of peace in the coming days, laying out Russian requirements for a ceasefire with Ukraine, according to a U.S. official and White House official familiar with the matter. But more than a week after that phone call, the U.S. has yet to receive the document from Russia, the sources said. Now, Trump is considering moving ahead with new sanctions on Moscow in the coming days as he vents his fury at the state of the conflict, according to people familiar with the matter. Options were drawn up in the last several weeks to apply new measures punishing Moscow, but so far Trump has not approved them. The president said Sunday that he would absolutely consider new sanctions in the aftermath of the sustained missile and drone bombardment that has left many losing their lives. He's ending the lives of a lot of people, Trump said on Putin on Sunday. I don't know what's wrong with him. What the hell happened to him? And in a True Social post on Tuesday today, the president wrote, "What Vladimir Putin doesn't realize is that if it weren't for me, lots of really bad things would have already happened to Russia. And I mean really bad. He is playing with fire." Trump could still decide not to apply the new sanctions, and people said, in keeping with past examples of him backing away from threats to target Russia over its actions in Ukraine, Trump has said privately that he is concerned new sanctions could push Russia away from peace talks. Now, during their call on Monday, Trump told Putin that Russia and Ukraine should be communicating directly to negotiate a peace accord, and that Europe and the United States would help when needed, a White House official said. After that call, Trump said on social media that the conditions for a ceasefire will be negotiated between the two parties, as it can only be. The call came just days after the first direct talks between Ukraine and Russia in Turkey. When those talks ended, the expectation was that a follow-up Russian memo would be shared with Ukraine. But the plan for Russia to send its memorandum not just to Ukraine but also to the U.S. indicates that Trump concluded the call without completely washing his hands of potential future involvement. Secretary of State Marco Rubio also spoke with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov the day before the Trump-Putin call and said they discussed the topic. Lavrov told Rubio at the time that Russian officials would be preparing a document outlining the requirements for a ceasefire that would then lead to broader negotiations. Rubio told CBS Face the Nation last week. He added that if that came forward, along with Ukrainian proposals, we can work off of that. Hopefully, that will be forthcoming soon, Rubio added. Now on Tuesday, Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova said Moscow was working on the document. Russia continues the development of the draft memorandum regarding the future peace treaty with the definition of a number of positions, such as principles of settlement, timeframes of possible conclusions of peace agreements, and potential ceasefire for a certain time in case of reaching corresponding agreements, Zakharova said. As soon as the memorandum is prepared, it will be handed over to Kiev, her statement continued. We expect that the Ukrainian side is conducting the same work and will send us its developments simultaneously with the receipt of the Russian document. While the U.S. waits on Russia with mounting frustration, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on yesterday, accused Putin of simply playing games with diplomacy and diplomats. Meanwhile, Democratic and Republican lawmakers have begun lobbying Trump to significantly ratchet up U.S. sanctions after the weekend attacks. All of us, by our public statements as well as private contacts, are pressing very, very hard, Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal told CNN on Monday. Blumenthal is a key figure behind a cross-party Senate bill, also sponsored by Trump ally Lindsey Graham, which aimed to impose crippling new measures on Moscow. It would include secondary sanctions, like massive 500% tariffs on countries buying Russian energy. More than 80 senators have signed onto the bill so far. According to Blumenthal, the bipartisan bill, which could impact U.S. adversaries like China as well as friendly Asian and European nations, was drawn up in very extensive consultation with U.S. allies who may be affected by new sanctions on Russian energy imports. Germany, France, Britain are now all for it with 100% support, he told CNN. After speaking with Putin last week, Trump told European leaders on a telephone call that he would not join them for now in applying new measures on Moscow, even though he had previously signaled a willingness to take a tougher approach to Putin, and European officials said. Now, Trump believes that right now, if you start threatening sanctions, the Russians will stop talking, and there is value in us being able to talk to them and to drive them to get to the table, Rubio told lawmakers on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee last week, a day after Trump and Putin spoke over the phone. Like we will see, look, they have to do this. No one is claiming that this is a guarantee. After Trump's most recent comments, French President Emmanuel Macron voiced hope the U.S. leader would change course. President Trump realizes that the President Putin said on the phone that he was ready for peace, or told his envoys that he was ready for peace. He lied, Macron said on Monday. We have seen once again in recent hours Donald Trump express his anger, a form of impatience. I simply hope now that this translates into action. Now, Trump has previously raised the notion of new sanctions on Russia's banking sector and secondary sanctions on purchasers of Russian energy products. Both options have been drawn up, but it wasn't clear what specific steps Trump was considering in the wake of Russia's weekend bombardment in Ukraine. So, there you have it. Let me know your thoughts. Are they going to be able to come up with some sort of diplomatic solution for this? If you think they will, let me know in the comments. Or do you think, no, things are just going to intensify, escalate? The last article we saw, we heard the warnings of World War III could potentially be on the horizon here with things escalating. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But right now, as of today, May 27, 2025, we are seeing headlines coming out in the past couple of hours as we're hearing that Donald Trump is saying that Putin has absolutely gone crazy. Putin is saying that the U.S.'s responses are too emotional. And we've actually heard in the past 3 days there have been escalating attacks larger than anything we've seen in the past several years that has happened with Russia and Ukraine. They're saying things are beginning to intensify. And Donald Trump said, if it weren't for me, things would be way worse, and it would be really, really bad for Russia. And Russia said, what is he talking about? Is he talking about World War III? Because in our opinion, that's where things could be going, and that's where things will be really, really bad. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Are we on the path to World War III? If so, drop a 3 in the comments. If no, drop a 4. Are we already in World War III? If you think we are, drop a 3 in the comments. If you think no, we're going to be able to avoid all of this, drop a 4. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And I see some people saying, yes, wars, rumors of wars. I see someone else saying wars, rumors of wars as well. So a lot of people coming in saying that they think that's the direction that we're going to be going here. But we will see. And like I said, I will keep you up to date every step of the way, regardless of what happens. I'll be sure to report it here on the channel, cite the sources, put it on the screen, read right from it, hyperlink it in the description. And if you appreciate that, do me a favor, if you haven't done so yet, take a second, hit that like button for me. That simple gesture helps out the channel a ton. I appreciate it. You might not be able to see it right now if you're on your phone and the chat is up. You just exit out of the chat. You can click that like button, that little thumbs up. And also, if you want to stay up to date, this is your first time here, hit the subscribe button. It's totally free. Why not? I'll keep you up to speed on everything. But you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. May 27, 2025, that is the latest that is going on. As more comes out, I'll continue to keep you up to date on this, along with everything else going on. That big, beautiful bill, no tax on Social Security, tips, overtime. We'll see what happens with Doge dividend refund checks. Right now, we're hearing that did not make it into that big, beautiful bill. And also just everything that's going on in our world. Whatever comes out that is important to you and your family, I'll be sure to share it here on the channel. But that is the latest, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.